Well, hello again, folks, and welcome back to Fisting Jawa Save the Universe. I am, of course, Fist-25, and we're coming back actually with another ship review. Happy Invictus Flight Week. We just have the Mirai Day here, and we got a brand new ship that is upon us, the Mirai Guardian MX, or Mike X-Ray. It's a new ship. It's a variant of the Guardian line, the Mirai Guardian MX. It is much more of a anti-fighter heavy fighter, meaning the other ships could punch a little bit above their weight class with the dual size 5s. This ship has 4 size 4 repeaters. They come with repeaters. And it's just overall, it's an interesting gig here on this ship. As I just mentioned, 4 size 4 repeaters, and it comes with 2 size 2 shields, where the stock Mirai Guardian comes with 1 size 2 shield. So interesting on that front, at least. This ship also comes with 2 banks of 12 size 2 infrared missiles. And I'm looking at my other screen here. The regular Mirai Guardian, and I believe the key, comes with 4 banks of 4 missiles. So 16 missiles compared to 24 missiles with the Mirai Guardian MX. Other than that, the components are similar. You know, I mentioned earlier that the MX behind me has 2 shields. The regular Guardian has 2 size 1 power plants. This ship has a single size 2 power plant. The coolers, this one is unique. It has a size 1 cooler and a size 2 cooler needed to cool all those laser repeaters, whereas the original Guardian has 1 size 2 cooler. And then they both come stock with cross-field quantum drives. I have partially upgraded at least the systems on my ship. I have thrown in an upgraded quantum drive, the Chimera. I have upgraded the size 2 cooler to a competition grade B because we can't get the grade A's anymore. I have left the power plant as stock as there was a little bit of a rebalance in 4.1.1, and the Maelstrom is just fine for what we need, and you don't get any more power generation out of the competition plants, as far as I can tell anyway. And I left the shields as stock as well. Actually, I canceled that, sorry. I did upgrade the shields to Rampart Industrial Shields, which, as of right now in 4.1.1, have the most hit points. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the Mirai Guardian MX. And roll the intro first. Cue me. All right, so here in front of us is the Mirai Guardian. It is folded up right now. You know, this is basically the TIE fighter, if you will. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the fighter ship made to attack other fighters. CIG has said that Star Citizen will have some kind of changed gameplay in the future where ships with size 4 guns won't be able to do much damage to capital ships at all, and probably not that much damage to sub-capital ships either. Like, it'll be a danger to things like the Perseus, but it probably will be a gnat on the wall of an Idris with all the PDCs and all the turrets of an Idris. This ship is made to take down other ships. Now, of course, if you have a whole fleet of these going at something, it'll do quite a bit of damage. I was looking at the stats of Erkul earlier, and I think this is a point of contention when possibly buying this ship. The stock ship here with the 4 CF447 Rhinos has an overall DPS of 1,596. When compared against the stock Guardian, which has 2 size 5s, that ship does stock DPS of 1,914. So that is 300 plus more DPS, about 320 more DPS within the stock configuration. Now, if you go ahead and upgrade all of your weapons to attritions, that means attrition 4s for the MX here and attrition 5s for the regular Guardian, your DPS actually changes quite a bit. The Guardian MX DPS goes up to 2,864 above the regular Guardian at 2,714. So it does matter quite a bit what weapons and components you have on the ship. Looking at these two size 2 shields, it gives the ship a lot more survivability. That brings the shield total up to 9,480. And it does have more hull hit points at 89,200. So it's a little more armored compared to the stock Guardian, which is at stock shields 4,740, about half, right? Exactly half. And hull hit points at 69,000. So the Guardian MX has 30,000 more hull hit points and twice the shields as the stock Guardian. But let's take the outside tour here, walk around, and you can see the nose here, very Mirai. Now I do have a paint job on this thing. It's the blackout paint. Black and red are kind of my colors. As you walk around it, not a lot to see here. Here's the elevator. Now we are looking at the back of the ship, right? I guess if I should have said TIE Fighter, I should have went around to the front of the ship. Maybe what is the TIE Fighter that's good against fighters and stuff? Maybe the TIE Advanced. It's not really the bomber, but we can see these stock CF 447 laser repeaters. I had attrition 4s and they went away with this patch, as they do with almost every patch, and so I'll have to go buy some new ones, but they do look pretty sweet on this Mirai Guardian MX. But I do really like the configuration, the 4 kind of separate wings here. Not necessarily a TIE Fighter, but I think it's inspired by the TIE Fighter because it kind of has that look. The overall look is not that different from the stock Guardian. Thrusters on the inside. This ship should be very maneuverable. Very kind of a comparison, right? What do you compare the maneuverability to? Well, you compare it to the stock Guardian. The maneuverability on this ship is we'll test it, but basically I believe this should be a little bit more maneuverable if it's going to be against fighters. That's just my thoughts and my feelings on it. Is it going to be more maneuverable? I don't know. I'll probably have to look at the actual numbers to figure that out. As we move around the port side of this spacecraft, we can see there's more thrusters, more branding. Not that much to it while it's in its folded configuration. I have been told that this ship does not fit in a Polaris hangar. It physically fits in there, but you cannot close the top of the hangar in the Polaris. It's about 2 or 3 inches too tall. I did hear that it does fit inside an Idris, but just barely. You're going to have to fly it very precisely to get it in there. And then once it's in there, there's plenty of space. But it's going into the openings for the rear or the front of that hangar. 2 big old engines on the back that work on a gimbal system to provide you vectored thrust, and it is a fully symmetrical ship as well. I do like that black and red outline. I hope they do more of these paints. Pretty cool look to it. As far as interactions, I know there is an elevator just like the standard Guardian to get into the ship. That elevator will take you up. Can we get in straight into the cockpit as well? It looks like right here, enter pilot seat. So we can just get straight into the cockpit if we want to. That is our personal storage locker on the front. And we can see that there is storage over there, and it looks like there is a weapon locker specifically over here to store your weapon, pistols, and looks like 2 rifles. So that is excellent. Have that kind of storage. I'm sure there's a fuel odd thing around here. Would it be at the back? I don't know. Not sure how this thing refuels or where it's going to refuel. I don't see a marker for it either. Maybe it's on the bottom somewhere. I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it, to be quite honest with you. That type of gameplay is not in the game. So Let's go ahead and enter from the back. We'll take the elevator up. I do like the red entrance. I know power's not on, but I do like that. So in this little back area here, we are sacrificing some stuff that comes with the regular Guardian, okay? Like a bed, but we'll get into that in a minute. In here, we have some engineering and component access. We have a battery compartment for battery systems. There's no batteries in the game yet because engineering's not in yet. So that's not there. That's the elevator button, up or down. An access panel, a suit locker for one day we'll be able to store suits in there. It looks like in here is another weapons rack on the interior. Okay, so we can store even more weapons in that weapons locker. This is the quantum drive. And definitely physicalized. There's a physical quantum drive in there. Moving on into the interior of the Guardian MX, we can see there's more component access. There's a life support guy down here. Life support's not in the game, so it's completely empty. And above it is the relay computer with relays. So preparing for upcoming engineering gameplay. Over here we have the shield generator up top. There we go. There's at least one. It looks like the other one is over here for those two size 2 shields. Just like we mentioned earlier, down below it is one of the coolers. There should be 2 coolers. I only see 1 cooler. Radar system. Looks like there's something in there because there is a radar in here, but we just can't do anything with those components. There is supposed to be 2 coolers, so I don't know where the other cooler would be. It's supposed to be a size 1 and a size 2 cooler. But again, I'm not going to spend too much time dilly-dallying around. Maybe that is the size 2 cooler that's in there. I do see a power plant up here, size 2 Maelstrom military component. And if you guys, oh, maybe this is the other cooler. Sorry. So that was the size 1 cooler. This is the size 2 cooler. So we do have full component going on in here. And that's really it for this interior compartment. It is all engineering. Moving forward, we're getting into the access way to get into the pilot seat. You can see cool looking design here with ventilation and things like that. We can open and close that door and we can enter the pilot seat, which we will do now. All right, so we are now in the pilot seat, and I know this isn't a TIE fighter, but it presents sort of like a TIE fighter, and kind of really appreciate the look on here. Let me go ahead and turn on power. Sorry, I had a question earlier with the Guardian MX and the Guardian as far as maneuverability goes, and because I think that is very important. And we might go into this later in the video, I'm not sure. The actual Guardian itself is slightly faster, not much, and I'm talking just a few meters a second faster, both in nav speed and in SCM speed. Probably because it weighs less, the ship is more heavily armored. The regular Guardian has more forward, backward, up and down, and strafing thrust. Probably, again, because of the mass. The ship is more heavily armored, it has more shield. The hull durability of this ship is higher overall, as well as the shield hit points and the hull hit points. We'll get into emissions in a minute, but it does look like this ship may have reduced emissions compared to the regular Guardian, and that'll be nice. It's a tad bit stealthier. Not that this ship is going to be very stealthy. The original Guardian does have more cargo as far as SC ship's performance viewer shows, and I think that's because there's storage for a gun up front. But yeah, the regular Guardian has twice the storage that this ship has. Looks like radar emissions are about the same as far as cross-section is concerned. They're ideally exactly the same size on the front, the side, and the top. So cross-section will be the same, even though radar and infrared may have reduced emissions. Looking at the actual rotational axis, I mean, moving left and right and things like that, it's actually quite hard to tell. It looks like the regular Guardian, just because of the lighter weight, is going to be a little bit better in maneuverability. So with that, let's get on to the rest of the cockpit tour here. I do really like these Mirai MFDs. We got our power, weapon, thruster, shield indicators up here, quantum radar, proximity, hit, and missile. We have 2 MFDs, I think. I don't think there's any other MFDs, which is just fine with me. We have a radar in the front, and all of our screens on the MFD as normal. As far as buttons go, we have power off, we have engine on, we have open exterior. I don't see any other buttons on this side or on the control stick. On the left, nothing on the stick itself, and the buttons are retract armor. So what does that mean? Does that mean I can actually get out of the ship this way? There is an exit to rear, so I'm not sure what retract and deploy armor. Maybe it's just more armor for the front, I guess. But as far as exit to rear, if I hold down Y, I will, just like the Avenger Titan, I will exit to the rear. If I right click this exit to rear, it gives me the option to exit front or exit rear. So that's how you get out of the cockpit from it. And that is the only button on the left, is just retract armor. As far as power output goes, let me hit F8, make sure everything is better. It looks like we have 20 pips to play with. We could give it that extra shield boost right there, and that pretty much takes our weapons down to no other pips to play with, unfortunately. I believe I do have to lift up. And let's go ahead and retract the landing gear. By the way, 4 different landing gears, so it should be a little better on terrain. I retract that gear and the rest of the ship comes out. So now the guns come out and they will fire like that. If I hit right alt and K, nothing happens. Okay, interesting. That means gear has to be out in order to retract everything? I'm not sure. If I hit retract armor, that's literally just the cockpit armor, apparently. If I right click it, nothing happens. If I'm over here, nothing with power. Open exterior, press unlock, that's all that does. So, oh, deploy landing gear. What if I right click that? No. So as far as I know, there's nothing. Left alt K, right alt K to just retract the ship, except dropping the landing gear. You see the guns retract, the ship kind of retracts, and it still stays pretty tall. But it is a cool animation. The guns retract in, and then they retract out when the landing gear is up. Firing the ship in the hangar. Ooh, that's a nice feeling, and I like how the guns are right in front of you. That's very, very nice. I still don't love the thrusters up here and seeing that, but that is pretty nice right there. Now the stock shots with these laser repeaters and 2 pips on my shield here is 31. If I crank my guns all the way up and lower my shields, I go to... Oh, can I still do that? No, I'd have to lose a shield pip. Balance. I can, so okay, so now I'm at 0 output out of 20. I don't have any pips to play with. My guns are at 62. So 62 shots, those things do fire fast. If I give myself shield and I don't lose any guns if I do that. If I give myself some more guns, I can move shields up one. If I just basically get rid of boost, trying to get rid of boost, so I can have full guns and full shields in this configuration, but I will basically have no boost. So maybe we'll try that, and this would be kind of a preferred fighting configuration right here. Max guns and at least close to maximum shields, but not having boost or having boost recharge really slow may suck, especially with the ship, but it should be fast. We'll see the rated speed on this ship. Let me check real quick. Of course, it's not going to show me the rated speed. We might have to actually check the speed over here on a different site. Looks like 208 SCM speed, 455 in boost, and a nav speed of 1,100, so 1,100. But enough of that. Let's open the hangar if we can, and we will head out. Just give you an overall look at the ship while the hangar opens. I really like this paint. It looks really good. The normal paint is much more white looking, with the Guardian logos. This paint just screams stealth to me. All right, let's head out. It feels smooth. That's the immediate thing here. You can see as I move my mouse around, those thrusters in the back, they do move around. One negative thing about the Guardian as a platform is if you lose one engine, you are SOL, because flying this thing with one engine is terrible. So good luck on that. I hope you have an SRV or you're able to barn swallow this thing. But just moving up through atmosphere, about 72 degrees, nose up, steady 205 meters a second. Looks like max is 208, and it's climbing as we're getting out of atmosphere, so it is rather quick and rather smooth. We are now in quantum range or availability, so we just need to find a quantum marker. Hopefully we can find a OM. There we go. There's OM6. We'll go ahead and quantum to OM6. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to switch back into SCM mode, and I'm just going to hit cruise control for SCM and see where we're at. It says 207, so SC performance viewer is right there. 207, 208 for speed. Let's check our boost speed. It says 455. I don't think we're getting there. 421 for boost speed in space. Let's go ahead and drop our shields. And we already got some G-forces applied there. Let's check what our speed is going to be maxed out in space. Climbing very, very rapidly. This thing has a ton of thrust. It says 1099. I have a little bit of a directional things, and SC performance viewers at 1100, so it's right on the nose for speed. Let's see how fast I can get G-forces and blackout, possibly. Not too bad. It compensates really well. We can look at boost as we do a boost turn. Breathing heavy, but I'm able to maintain no blackout. We'll check SCM mode. That one almost a little blackout. As we go back to our TVM, shields came up right away pretty quickly, and we'll do a boost turn, try to black ourselves out, and there we go. So we are able to black ourselves out in the Guardian MX when we do a boosted turn. Okay, there's the guns. I'll switch over to missile operator mode. You can see there are 24 missiles on the top right on the MFD. And oh, okay. Okay, in the... We cut this. Okay, in missile operator mode, you can see there are 24 missiles on the screen showing on my helmet MFD cast, and that is a lot of missiles on this ship. We can only load 4 at a time now, and I believe they do come from the missile launcher that is... Let's see if I can get some light on it. They're supposed to be on the top. Yeah, there's the missile racks up here. So kind of an interesting look at the missile racks. That's where all of our missiles are stored. And so when they shoot, they're going to kind of come up and around and down. And maybe we'll shoot one just for effect. I didn't even see it. It just kind of, oh, it's up there now. So let's shoot another one and just see what it looks like. Let me zoom out. You can see it just kind of went forward and up there. So it is what it is. But switch out of that mode and back into SCM mode. Now let me go ahead and switch my gunnery around. I like the red and blue configuration here for the MFDs. It's pretty nice. Throw my enhanced HUD on there. And what we really want is target status. Over here, we really want ship status or self status, including shields. Okay, so because this is a fighter, let's go find some kind of a fighter mission. Note, I have burned 94% of my hydrogen fuel. And one thing we did not talk about was our signature. We can see that in this configuration right now, I am at 33.2K on IR, which is pretty hot, 22K on EM, and it says 9K on cross section. That may be the lowest instead of the highest. I'm not sure. I just don't know quite how stealthy this ship is going to be. Let's go find something to fight, and I'll be back with you shortly. All right, we're going to head to this asteroid mining base as part of Gilly's flight school. And, you know, it's a good way to... Whoa, what the heck was that? What just happened? It's like the screen rebooted a little bit. That was very weird. Very weird. I hope that got caught on film. Anyway,
okay.
As part of Gilly's school here, we're gonna try to fight here. We're gonna try some missiles first. Hopefully we don't run into an asteroid.
Contact, radio.
Where's my contact, Gilly? There's one. Looks like a Mustang, Alpha, Delta, something like that. We'll shoot a couple missiles at him. It's weird seeing the missiles come from above and then hit, because I'm popping my own flares. Looks like we took out a ship. Another possible Mustang. The Guardian is very agile, especially, I mean, maneuverability is kind of crazy. I don't have my sticks here. I'm just doing this with mouse and keyboard, so. Is it real dogfighting? Maybe. Okay. Took out a Mustang pretty quick. But Red is dead. I'm not trying to loot that guy. Boom, there he goes. Okay, next target. I do like the radar and how I can kind of see him. I do like the ship icon on the radar. Looks like, is this a arrow? It's hard to tell. It looks like an arrow. It's janky like an arrow. Looks like your shields are down like an arrow. Boom, and there goes the anvil arrow. So, granted, this is a pretty easy mission. Okay. Gilly's flight school. I do kind of like these missions. It's almost like an arena commander thing to test out the ship. But that was a lot of fun. This ship is definitely a heavy fighter. Took no damage. Had no issues as far as taking some shots, launching missiles, getting to where I need to go. Yeah, overall, very nice ship. Let's take it back to Area 18 and we'll do some, we'll check out Erkul and then we'll do some final thoughts. Stand by. So once again, this as I quantum back to ArcCorp, the screen rebooted. Not sure if that's a feature or a bug, to be quite honest. But I do want to show flying in atmosphere back into the ArcCorp hangar, just to get a bit more feel for how it handles in a little bit thicker of an atmosphere. It handled phenomenally in space. Note that you cannot fire the weapons of the ship while you are in landing gear down mode. They are retracted in and the ship will not let you fire them and damage itself. So if you can't fire your guns, check your landing gear. Maybe go to external camera and check to see what all that looks like. Okay, we're gonna go through our volumetric clouds here that are static and don't really move. It's the same nuclear storm over ArcCorp. Okay, let's get some visuals out here. So here's thrust on the engine. Here's what afterburner looks like. It actually sounds pretty good too. From the cockpit, a little bit louder. I do like how these newer ships have upgraded sounds. I wish they would fix the sounds in 2025 for the rest of the ships, especially the older ships, to have the better sound. Of course, ArcCorp is so big and so dense with thick fog and things like that. It is sometimes hard to find the airport, the spaceport, whatever you want to call it. But typically, if you find that tallest building over here, we can find, which is ArcCorp Tower, we're going to find the airport near it. It is nice to see that the sun bleeding through the clouds like that. There is Bevic Convention Center where Invictus 2955 is, Fleet Week. And you can rent one of these ships, I believe, over there as well. We can't get too close to ArcCorp Tower or it will impound us and give us a level 1 crime stat. So we do have to fly around the tower. Is the spaceport over there? Where's the spaceport? This looks like a different area over here. Ah, there's the spaceport over there. Hopefully we're not getting too close. Here's the rain effects on the windshield. So we're popping some afterburner in atmosphere, getting up to 320 meters per second, which is pretty quick in atmosphere, to be quite honest. And that was all of our boost. Sun bleeding into those clouds looks really cool. Graphics are never the problem in Star Citizen. Although I am excited to see Planet Tech V5. Okay, let me go land this thing and we'll get back to you in just a sec. All right, folks, so we are at the portion of the video where we're going to take a quick look at loadouts of the Mirai Guardian MX, Fist in real life. Let's get to it. After that, we'll do final thoughts. So up on the screen here, you can see that there is the Mirai Guardian MX up on Erkul.games. We can see that it comes with 4 size 4 CF447 Rhino laser repeaters, which is what I have in the video as well. Total DPS on that, actually let me take it off of full screen, is 1,596 with 262 alpha damage. That's really good DPS, 400 per laser repeater. If you go over to the regular Guardian with the 2 size 5s, which I have up as well, we can see that each gun has 957 sustained DPS, giving it 1914 sustained DPS with 1844 alpha damage. So that is huge. The alpha damage comparison from size 4 to size 5s is pretty huge. It's not just the DPS from 1914 down to 1596, right? 300 more DPS. it has the alpha damage goes from 262 on the MX to 1844 on those two stock M7A laser cannons. Keep in mind though that those are laser cannons, they're not repeaters. The repeaters are much more designed, in my opinion, for anti-fighter. They're designed to go after fighters, to go after smaller ships. The cannons are the alpha damage is higher, so they go a little bit above their weight class. They're designed to take on some bigger stuff. Although it's weird because the stock Guardian, which is on the screen, only has one size 2 shield. So trade-offs here: more firepower, less missiles, less shields, a little bit lighter, a little bit more maneuverable, has a bed, has a little bit more multi-role capability, where the Guardian MX is just a monster. Two shields. I mean, it's designed to be in combat, right? So a couple other differences. You can see it has a total of 24 size 2 missiles, where the stock Guardian has 16 of them in 4 different missile racks. The shield capacity, the MX 2 size 2 military grade C full stop shields. The stock Guardian only has 1 size 2 shield. The Guardian MX has 1 size 2 Maelstrom military grade C power plant. The Guardian has 2 size 1 power plants, which I've always felt like it was a little bit underpowered. The coolers in the Guardian MX, there's a size 1 and the size 2. That is odd, and it's different. I guess it just needs a little bit more cooling capacity, which is why the size 1 was added. You can see that the stock Guardian just has the 1 size 2. As far as quantum drives go, they both have a cross-field military grade C, a good solid quantum drive, but should be upgraded probably as your first upgrade. Actually, first upgrade should be your guns. After that, upgrade the quantum drive, probably the shields after that. So going through all this stuff, I went through a lot of the stuff in the video itself. The Guardian MX, a little bit of multi-role, a lot more survivability to it. The Guardian itself, way more multi-role. You can log out in space, things like that. Like, it's going to be able to do different things that you just can't do in the regular Guardian. Kind of like Vanguard Warden, right? But so I pimped out both of these ships to what I think is probably the best loadout that they have in 4.1.1. This may not apply for, builds in the future, okay? The Guardian MX with its guns, putting 4 attrition 4s on there, gives you a DPS of 2,864. Putting 2 attrition 5s on the Guardian gives you a DPS of 2714. Now that does reduce the alpha damage, right? These are laser repeaters. They're the highest DPS, they're not the highest alpha. That's because each shot, they shoot more and each shot is a little bit less. But in general, I think they're considered the best out of, for what they do. So more alpha damage, more DPS in the Guardian MX in that configuration. That's pretty impressive. If we were to go back to laser cannons and go to the M7As that it comes with stock, we can see that the alpha damage is 1844, 1,000 more than the Guardian MX with attritions, right? I could load up size 4 laser cannons on here and get much higher alpha damage. Missile racks. This thing comes with 24 missiles. It does come with stock, the Ignite 2s. I would upgrade those. If you're confident that your Rattlers are going to work, upgrade them to Rattlers. I have had issues with Rattlers in the past. I haven't used them in this patch. So that's why I recommend, at least right now, Bullet 2s are the highest amount of damage for missiles that are not Rattlers at 2799. But you may want to mix it up between Bullet 2s and, say, go with an EM or a cross-section type missile. Probably EM. That's Bullet 2s and Dominator 2s. Now, components. The stock components for shields are 2 military grade C full stop shield generators. Those are 4740 as far as shield hit points go. I recommend changing those out for industrial grade A ramparts, which give you significantly more shield hit points. 6,170 per shield. That increases our shield from 9,480 to 12,340, so significantly more shields. The industrial shields do require 4 power each and 4 cooling each. Military shields require the exact same, so it is a straight up upgrade. If you can acquire the FR-76 or the Superon shields, those would be ideal. They have 5,100 hit points, not as much as the industrial shields, but a much better overall than the full stop. Moving on to power plants. It comes with a military grade C Maelstrom power plant. That is what is stock and what I recommend leaving on there. The reason is because it has 20 max power generation and it takes 19 for cooling. If we start looking around like for competition over here, which is what I would recommend in previous patches, you can see Solar Flare has 20 but requires 21 cooling. Starburn has 20 power per second but requires 21 cooling. So all these competitions, they offer the same amount of power, but it takes more cooling to run them. The industrials, none of them have the same amount of power. All of the military are good. If you can get a JS400, that gives you one more power to play with, and it only requires one more cooling unit, which with the way our coolers are set up, that's probably the way to go. The stealth, less power, and in the civilian area, also less power. So I would leave it stock. For the coolers themselves, it comes stock with a Bracer military grade C and an Arctic military grade C. You can see I left the Bracer as is, but I changed out the Arctic for an Ice Dive. The reason is because with the Bracer, I am getting 260,000 cooling per second, or when I'm looking at the number, 22 cooling generation. If I go through other components in the civilian, competition, industrial, I'm not getting the same amount of cooling. Even though industrial has more overall cooling, typically, I'm not getting that type of cooling generation except under military components. If you can get a military grade A like a Glacier, you're going to get even better cooling. So I would stick with the military for the size 1. Now the size 2, it came with that Arctic, which is at 5,200k cooling a second. You can see our cooling generation and our efficiency drop down to 7.2, and our efficiency drops down. If we go to the competition and we go either Ice Dive or Rapid Cool, Ice Dive gives a little bit more cooling and it's a competition grade C because we can't get the Bs anymore for some reason. Then you're going to end up at 28.8 cooling generation overall, better, and you're going to be super cool. I mean, you're going to be cooled down way faster. Moving on from the quantum drives, the stock one is the Crossfield military grade C at 231 kilometers a second. I recommend an upgrade to the Chimera civilian grade A at 282,000 kilometers a second. 1, it's faster. 2, it's going to cool down faster, meaning you're going to be able to quantum from point to point faster because it's a grade A versus a grade C. It requires 6 power and 6 cooling. The Crossfield requires 7 power and 7 cooling. So overall, the Chimera is a civilian grade A. It's a better choice overall. There's no other components in here that I can actually upgrade. So if I throw all those items into the cart and I look at my cart, make sure I got everything correct here. I don't need a new jump drive. And the Ice Dive is in there. Yeah, so it's 854,700 alpha UEC, which is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of alpha UEC. Not quite a million, but pretty darn close. Now, things you don't absolutely have to change. You absolutely don't have to change the missiles out. I would say you don't absolutely have to change your coolers out. The things I would say you really need to change or consider changing are the 3 most expensive things, of course. The guns as first, the attrition 4s, which is going to cost you almost a cool $500,000. The shields going up to ramparts to get you more shield hit points, and the quantum drive for overall efficiency, and that brings you to 707,000. So one last look comparing the Guardian MX to the Mirai Guardian. The MX is in the red. You can see that on SC Ship's performance viewer, the Guardian is just edging things out over the MX in speed and SCM speed and nav speed, but not by much. It's very little. Same thing with forward, backwards, strafing, and up and down speed, just a little bit. The boost multiplier is the same. When we look at ship axis rotational speed, the Guardian MX 120 the Guardian, 130 for roll. So, and this is true basically in every scenario, where the Guardian's just a little bit better in its rotational access. I mean, everything is really good in roll. In Jawa, the Guardian itself, probably because it's lighter, is better in every single iteration: pitch, yaw, and roll. Not a ton, but it is better probably because it's lighter. But when you look at what you get in the Guardian MX, you're getting double the shields, you're getting more hull durability, and more total health pool. So it's much more survivable. Less radar emissions. Everything else is fairly the same. You do get a little bit more storage in the regular Guardian as well. So the regular Guardian's a little bit faster, a little more storage. And that's really about it. The insurance claim is also longer for the regular Guardian versus the Guardian MX. And everything else is pretty much the same. I don't care about fuel flow per minute, how fast it burns fuel. I mean, it matters, but there's so much going on with fuel. I don't even want to pretend like that's a factor for me buying this ship. So now we're going to cut back to myself in game to wrap up the video. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. All right, folks. So that wraps up the video. Thank you for tuning in to Fist and Java Save the Universe. Our final thoughts here on the Mirai Guardian MX. It's an awesome ship. As far as a fighting ship, I really like it. I would hate to say that it's an upgrade over some of the other heavy fighter ships. I think the F8 is still probably a better heavy fighter, although this does rank up there, I think, with the F8, but it has a bit more utility to it. The F8, I mean, is just a fighter. There is nothing else the F8's going to do except be a fighter. This ship kind of has a little bit of engineering gameplay to it, a little more survivability than the F8. You could do box missions in this for sure if those ever come back. Definitely you could put those little boxes that you carry in here. Maybe you could fit some 1 SCU boxes in here, something like that. It is weird that there's no bed like there is on the Vanguard Warden and the regular Guardian and the Guardian Key. But, you know, those are trade-offs, right? I think once this thing has 4 attrition 4s on it, it's going to be a very much a menace. And I'm excited to see what type of gameplay that does bring. Value. It is right up there price-wise of a Vanguard, especially a Vanguard Warden, which is really the scout and, to me, more of the dogfighter of the Vanguard series. I ended up upgrading my Star Lancer Max from that ship to this ship in a CCU. I did that partially because I already had LTI, and this is a war bond and it's concept, and I have LTI with that, but I don't have a real great use for my Star Lancer Max. I have some other ships that really fulfill the cargo role really well. I'm gonna find a real hard time fully stocking a Polaris or an Idris. I do have smaller ships with more cargo. I have Constellations and things like that too. So I didn't, as much as I like the Star Lancer Max, I have a TAC, and I think the TAC is more my style of gameplay. So I upgraded to this to have yet another heavy fighter in my repertoire. Overall, I would give this out of 10, probably something like a 7.5 to 8. I don't know why the screen reboots every time I finish Quantum. The headlights, like half the ships in Star Citizen, suck. But it handles extremely well. I haven't seen it take damage to see how it handles damage, but I would imagine pretty poorly. That takes off some stars. I do like it having 4 guns. It has some survivability with 4 guns if you lose one. The Guardian, when you lose 1 gun, is very crippled just having one. Even though it is a size 5, it is a little bit crippled. So overall, about 7.5 stars out of 10. And overall, I think it's a good ship at a good value. I think all the ships are too high priced, but at least this one's here. It's flyable, and you can make it your own. Maybe consider a CCU, something like that. Up to you. So thanks for watching Fist and Java Save the Universe. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give me a like, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. All that's free to you. If you have any questions or anything, please comment down below. If you are looking for an org, please look up our Discord. It's in the description below. We are the B team. We are looking for members who enjoy all different kinds of gameplay and doing interesting stuff in the verse, from raiding to a little bit of pirating to mining to salvaging to cargo running to just having fun with each other. We're a little bit older of a crowd, definitely 40 to 50s as far as age range goes, but we have members all over the globe, and hopefully we'll add you to our ranks. So just pop by Discord, say hi, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, Stan.